Hello, Gwenters. Welcome back for another episode of Gone Gwenting. This is a quick update today. In light of the patch notes, I am still posting a Massacre Monday Skelega deck. If you're trying to push up ladder, it's a great deck to use. It's kind of gross, it's kind of brutal, but go ahead, use it, get the pro, get those keys on reset for tomorrow. But let's jump into patch notes. There's been a lot of people talking about a lot of different things. For me, candidly, it's just a change. A change is a change. It makes you change up your decks, makes you rethink the game a little bit. Say goodbye to those things we've loved. Like, I have loved All Out Charge. It's dead. We're not going to be using it anymore, at least in the same way we have used it before. And that's okay. Let's jump into what we have here. So, first off, I do want to apologize. I guess this has been on Twitter for a while now. On Reddit. Wasn't on Twitter. It wasn't on playgwent.com. It was just hiding in Reddit, which I go to when I'm feeling very ebullient in my spirits and willing to engage with angry people. So why they would go first to post it to Reddit and not to Twitter and not to Playgwent, I don't know. I guess they're just like looking for elite criticism. So anyway, let's jump in. So Neuromancy's changed from 12 to 13. I think that makes sense. Personally, I still think that this should work a little bit more like Pincer Maneuver should, where you are not like how the new Pincer Maneuver will work, and we'll get into that, but where you're like taking a card from your deck, putting it into your hand, and then like either discarding a card to boost it, or just that's it. Just put that card into your hand. I think that will make a lot of decks a little bit more interesting. It would improve the carryover power of a Neuromancy, so it's not so totally nerfed by a squirrel play. Because you could just keep that card in your hand going into the next round, if that makes sense. You could also do some crazier stuff like with Coral. You could discard it. Since it's Echo card, it'll go back on top of your deck. Cool stuff like that you could use. But you only need to use it once as part of like a Lippy Flip deck in order to get Ceres in the final round. So anyway, lots of things you could do with that. As it currently stands, I think this makes sense. It was a very powerful card. Going to 13, I think, is something that should have probably been done earlier, to be honest. Iron Falcon Juggler changed from 1 to 2, kind of about time, still a trash card. Highwayman power from 3 to 4, still a trash card. Series ability changed from damage 3 random enemies to damage 3 enemies. Personally, I think that should be changed to 3 procs of damage, either random. I think it should be chosen, and you just can proc the damage 3 different times. Now I think it's probably just going to be included in a dagger deck, no longer greatswords, but a dagger deck. I think greatswords are going to get play a little bit differently, but we'll get to them in a minute. So ethereal ability has been changed to Zeal Order. Transform the unit to the right to a base copy of self. Note they have Zeal, so it's going to be interesting to me to see if this card is transforming a unit into a unit with Zeal. Zeal is not contingent upon a deploy or a play. Zeal just is Zeal. Like when you use Letho Kingslayer to transform into Stefan Skellen, you have to wait, but if you use him to transform into like Carrick Marine, you can go ahead and use that Zeal ability right away. No questions, no problem. Just go ahead and use that. So a lot of people complaining about this being a huge nerf. I don't think it is. I think you're still going to be able to transform. Personally, I was enjoying when people would play Ethereal and then they'd get into a tight round and they'd drop Ikarin down onto like melee row with Ethereals and ranged, and I would use like a Carrick Guard or one of the Scotel movement cards like Malena to push the Ikarin back and get it transformed into an Ethereal. I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to do that anymore, just because that nerfs Ozrel's consume power in final round, and it also makes it so they lose 9 points of value. You can't consume it. Also causes all kinds of problems, and I'm gonna miss being able to do that. But I think so. This changed down to 8. It also, they didn't say this, but it went back to 8 provisions. So they had upped it to 9 in a hotfix, but it's back down to 8 provisions. It's not stated here. So it's going to be a little cheaper to include. Karen Thier has gone up from 8 to 9, which I think makes sense. Kikimora is going to be a little harder to use with that, but he still plays really well with Beast, Kikimora, Queen. I've even, if you really want a fun play, use them with Goliath, consume Goliath, drag out your opponent's highest unit. Oftentimes, that's like a Varaxis or a War Elephant for Northern Realms, or it could be like a Tibor in a mill deck, which just wrecks their Triss Telekinesis. Sorry, not Triss Telekinesis, but like the Triss Butterflies and Yen. So you can just kind of ruin their points for that. Anyway, lots of fun plays you can make with that, but you actually get 2 Goliaths, so you can actually do it twice if they're running like Imperial Golem and Tibor. Deck ruined. Rip wallet. Anyway, so Alpha Werewolf changed from 5 to 6, fine. Caranthir 8 to 9. Wild Hunt Rider power changed from 3 to 4. So they kind of changed all of these thinning cards, bumped them up a little bit, made them all more equal with one another, which I think is a long time coming. Arrakis Behemoth changed from 2 to 3. I don't think that's enough. I had been including that in my organic removal deck, and I just wasn't getting enough value from it. You can do some cool things, but it doesn't proc the Thrive correctly for Kikimor Queen all the time, and it's such a low power value that you can't proc that Thrive anyway. I mean, you could theoretically play this, so you could go Caranthir, Kikimor Queen will go to 2 because Caranthir is still 4, and then you could drop Behemoth down, boost it, but it's unclear order of operations. CDPR still needs to make this clear. Is a Thrive procced first? Or is the Arrakis Behemoth deploy ability of boosting all allied insectoids on a row first? That's hugely problematic, because if it's boosting the Kikimor Queen first, it's not going to proc the Thrive, and you won't get the double row boost where you normally would. So I'd like them to fix that. So Foglets have been boosted. I know a lot of people wanting like Foglets to come back. It's not happening, but changed from 3 to 4 power, so a little bit more parity there. Death Shadow gone. Caraspace changed to boost allied unit by 3, give it Veil, 3 charges. This is excellent. This is 9 points of total value. Kind of puts more on par with other leader abilities that give those same kind of things. Although ironically, this puts it more on par with Imperial Formation. It's on par with what Imperial Formation used to be to 8 points. Though I will say, for any Nilfgaard complainers, you have Damien Delator. I mean, I use them all the time. I don't know why I say you. We have Damien Delator. Imperial Formation's still going to get a lot of value if you use him. So anyway, more on that later. New leader ability. So this replaces Death Shadow. Force of Nature. Spawn and play Woodland Spirit. 9 power relic. No ability. 15 provisions seems a little light to me. This plays really similarly to an Arnulf the Patricide. I mean, he plays for 8 total on net, but you automatically get the 3 Bloodthirst with him, and you proc 3 damage to boost up either Daggor or Greatswords are still going to be able to get boosted with that. So, I mean, the Thrive proc here is nice, but not amazing. And it's... they don't say this here, but it is doomed. If it wasn't doomed, I think it would be a cooler play because you could consume it, especially if it was bronze. Then you could like consume it with a regular ghoul. That would be cool, and especially if you can make it rhyme like that. Yeah, I'm not sure that I love this one. Of all the new leader abilities, I kind of think this one is the most wah, but we'll see. People come up with crazy stuff. White Frost, though, I think is going to be boss. So it kind of is row movement, a lot like Guerrilla Tactics for Scotel. You get to move the enemy unit, but then you spawn Frost on its row for 2 turns. And you get 2 charges, 15 provisions. So you automatically damage them at the beginning of their next turn by 2. And you get that row movement. So really good against like Nilfgaard lock decks with Skellen or Damien Delator. So just nice to get some more row movement with monsters in addition to the Bruisers and the Drowners. I think that this will push Drowners out personally, and Bruisers will now have a home in most of these Wild Hunt decks. They'll find a lot of value. This is even more Frost procs. You could even drop it on both rows to get out your Winter Queen if you needed to. So lots of cool stuff you can do. I'm excited about that one. I think it's good. We finally have like a Wild Hunt leader ability, and I'm excited. So Skelega, Holger, Blackhand. I'm excited about this one. So he's now going to damage a unit by 2. He still plays for 6 points. He's an 8 provision card. So right there, you get his provision value, no questions asked. But then he still continues to do, if you play a pirate, you're going to damage an enemy unit by 1, and if you play a ship, you're going to boost an allied unit by 1, or boost it by 1. It might be him. Boost him by 1. Let's check. We're checking. Oh, wrong thing. But I had been testing out a ship deck, and I think there's going to be some cool stuff we can do with him. I don't want to spoil it yet, but yeah. So whenever you play a ship, boost it. So boost the ship by 1. Whenever you play a pirate, damage a random enemy unit by 1. So cool stuff we can do there. Then Encrypt Greatsword has been changed. I don't want to say nerfed. There's some crazy cool stuff you can do with this. Oh, sorry. Brokefire Hunter first. Whenever you play a beast, reduce cooldown by 1. So he does damage. Here, I'll just show you guys. Clan Brokefire Hunter. So previously it was whenever you discard a guard, reduce cooldown by 1, which was just really problematic engine because it was just tough to get this working. But now you damage an enemy unit by 1, cooldown 2, reduce that cooldown whenever you play a beast. And there are cooler beast synergies that are going on here, so that's going to be fun. Encrypt Greatsword has changed to 10 power, deploy, damage self by 5. Whenever an enemy takes damage, heal self by 1. So a couple of things I think we can do with this. Number 1, Sigdrifa's Right has good targets now on multiple cards. So and this is just summon, so it's not play. So the deploy abilities don't trigger. So you can use Sigdrifa's Right with Judah. You can also use it with Skelega as just tall point value cards that cost more. But then now this ability is not used much, but I think we'll see it more. Heal an allied unit, then boost it by the amount of skill. You pair that with a Svalbard Priest, and you can get some nasty business going on. Just think, if you damage down that great sword to 1 point, and then you play Restore, it's going to go back up to 10, plus another 9 points to 19. Same thing applies with Judah, and then you can pull it out with Sigdrifa's Right in another round without having to worry about that deployability triggering to get maximum points out. So I think that Great Swords have just been moved to a different deck personally, but you still do have that 10-point cap where if you're damaging units, he heals himself by 1. So still good synergy you can use in other Greatsword decks. Personally, I just don't think that's going to happen a whole lot. Harald, we already saw this change. Trigvi, I think we already saw this change as part of the last thing. And Blood Eagle from 11 to 12, I think makes sense. Very good card. Though we'll just have to keep seeing how that works out. And then Birnabran and Skirmisher both get 1 more power, which is nice. Sacrificial Vanguard is gone, which is kind of unfortunate because you weren't getting an extra play. You were just getting a different card to hand. I think Mask of Ouroboros is just going to be auto-include for those discard decks. You just don't have another option there. But now we get Battle Trance, spawn and play Mardrome. Whenever you play an alchemy card, heal a random ally by 1, 16 provisions. I think we'll see this with Gedeneth decks and Svalbard and these and those priests. Notably, they had changed this card to include it as both cultist and druid. I think this druid tag is going to be extremely important going forward as we try to get this aligned with Battle Trance. So anyway, and I think this heal random ally thing would work well with that same deck I'm talking about with Judah on Dimun, Skjal, and Greatswords. So, and then finally Rage of the Seas, spawn Rain on enemy row for 1 turn. And for those of you who forget how this works, again, Rain is now Rain at the start of owner turn damage random units by 1. So it's an extra damage proc that can be really helpful if you are running a dagger deck. I'm just going to stop talking about great swords in that context because I don't think it's going to be used for that anymore. But you do get a Deafening Siren on your own side for 2 points. Deafening Sirens, they have to come in here into Patricidal Fury in order to see them. It doesn't even show them here, but you spawn. They are 2-point value cards, and they are just tokens. So It'll be interesting to see if they add a tag to them to make them like a beast. That might be interesting. Siege Master, the change. So this is Northern Realms. Skelega got some nerfs and some changes. The Mardrome, you know, it's a 3-point removal tool, but a bigger boost tool, especially on certain things like Covenant of Steel or especially Draco Turtle. It's just a 12-point play straight up, no questions asked, so long as it has 3 armor. Otherwise, Mardrome is fine. But Northern Realms has run away with this fix. Northern Realms is already good this season. They really were. Even though it was Season of Removal, they just had so much boost, so much spam that it was hard to keep up with for most decks. And they, even though they struggle with removal themselves outside of the dueling units, they have been able to put up points. These changes make me a happy man. We're going to have some fun. Siege Master is now changed to order, boost allied unit by 2, which is fine. So for those of you not familiar, we'll go back out of Fury. The way Siege Master currently works, you can see him down here. Boost allied units by 2. It's a deploy, then resupply, boost adjacent siege engines by once. He's now going to 4, so he'll have a little bit more staying power. I'm guessing you can kind of like put him down and then drop your siege engines is maybe the idea behind him, to get you both a crew because he's soldier, but also just to kind of keep those siege engines rocking, keep them alive. Might be able to do some cool stuff with War Elephant. We'll have to see. Personally, I don't think he is the craziest or coolest character. I like Siege Support more. Vision cost is 4. He does that boost, he does the charge, and he gives Seal, which is incredibly helpful. But you can see here as well, Rivian Pikemen changed. I'm not even going to bother showing you guys. They're just kind of garbage anyway. I'm glad they changed their power to 4. It's a nice throwback to Thronebreaker, but Thronebreaker cards need some love if they want to really make a comeback there. Vicious Slash is gone. It's been replaced with Shield Wall, which is going to be totally broken. Basically, Kara Space is what they're saying here. So they've given Kara Space to Northern Realms. There's a few cards I want to talk about in context with this. And I know the other abilities I've skipped over, but these one, just chatting with Discord. If you're not on there, join. If you want to hear more about these conversations, obviously subscribe to this content, leave a like if you like this video, etc., etc. With that message out of the way, secrets follow. Number 1. I think the most obvious one that a lot of people are talking about is Ragnar. If you proc those 3 shields on 3 different units that don't have shields, that's 9 points for Ragnar. No questions asked. Plus the 6 points of boost that you're giving. So if you save this for like a final 3-card round 3 play, you have amazing point slam. Just broken point slam on an 8 provision cost card. He will come out, again, he will be playing for 4 plus the 9, so he'll come out at 13 points, and you have 6 points of boost on your other units. Granted, their shields will be gone, but you can strip those off the enemy as well. So if you're ever up in like a mirror situation, you're gonna be able to like, it's gonna be like the race for who can get their shields off and then strip them all off in time. So that's one option. Personally, having played a lot of Ragnar, if you haven't seen my seasonal speed deck over here, check out that video. Totally worth it. Super fun. Hope they make Battle Rush or like Season of the Draconid seasonal mode permanent. It's just a riot. It's a super fun to do on stream, and so I really hope they do make that a permanent fixture and make a Season of the Draconid a little bit more of a Draconid type feel for the seasonal. The Battle Rush doesn't really feel very Draconid. It just feels, it's fun, but not, based in that season. The one thing I did want, the bigger things I think that are going to make a difference here. Dueling units. This is going to break Ansace. Ansace, as you guys know, has formation, so if you play him to melee row, he gets his ability right away. If you play him to range, you have to wait to use the order, but he gets boosted by 1. He's really good with Uprising because you could play him, use a leader ability. He goes to 5. You can use his ability right away. Does duel. And if you've played him, you know he can kill a 7-point card. So he'll go 5. They'll be down to 2. They'll hit him back. He'll be at 3. He'll kill them off. If you've watched Knights of the Mirror with Redea back in the day, like a couple seasons ago, you know that I love to do that with Redea with the engineering solution, which now boosts by 4 and gives a shield on both Selkirk and on Sace. And the math is this. Normally a unit can kill itself, it can kill another unit with duel by 50% more than its value, right? So if it's an even number. So if it's 6, so say you get Selkirk to 6, he can kill a 9, because he'll do 6 damage to the 9, they'll go down to 3, they'll do 3 damage back to him, he'll be down to 3, and he can kill it off. If it's higher than that, like if it's a 10, he would do 6 damage, it'd be 4, back to him, he does 2 back, they have 2, and they'd kill him, but be down to 2 points. So that's the math here. If they have a shield, you can double it and then add 50%. So if he's to 6, he can hit a 12-point unit down to 6. That unit will do 6 damage back, ping off his shield, do no damage, and then he'll do 6 damage again and kill it off. Now, remember, if they were 9, that would work there too. So if they're 15 points, a 6-point Selkirk or a 6-point on Sace, which notably on Sace you can use right away at 6 points with this leader charge, can kill a 15-point unit and survive, right? So you could actually use Varaxis, put a shield back on Sace, use Varaxis to unlock him, and then kill it'd be 10 plus 50%, so really like a 12. So you could kill a 12-point unit next round. Crazy. And you still actually have one more shield after that, so you could use that on Selkirk. I think you're gonna see these boys get some play. Otherwise, I think the other cards that will be really useful here are just general order cards, because they will be able to have some staying power. So like the Roach, Merciless, and Blue Stripes cards now have a lot more say. Sienna maybe get some use here. There's less deploys for Northern Realms, and so maybe not, but you could mix in some other neutral cards like Regis Hire Vampire, just saying. But lots of stuff you can use. Care Space was also used as like a meme deck with Shere Khan, so you get him out, boost him by 2, he gets the shield, and then he goes up to 14 points after the end of your next turn because he takes 2 turns. Hide him behind a defender if you want to get just a little bit of extra protection. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a little bit too long here, but just know I think that this is the new, and they said this in the developer stream. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It is 55 minutes, so just skip to the Northern Realms section, in my opinion. The developer paused for a second to just say, like, yeah, this is the best one. It is. It's the best. Like, I can see this being crazy cool with Northern Realms. I think it's probably the sole reason they didn't do the proper nerf to Vincent, but we'll get to that in a minute. Pincer Maneuver is changed to draw a Northern Realms card of your choice, then shuffle a card from your hand into your deck. If the drawn card was unit, boost it by 5, 15 provisions. I think this will be really cool with the tutors. Notably, Northern Realms just has the one tutor right now in John Natalis, but if Natalis comes into your hand, that's 7-point play. You can shuffle back in Amphibious Assault so that you aren't wasting a card in your hand. Otherwise, you could boost up Ildiko or Bellahun so that they come out as a little bit thicker, harder to remove. You could boost up on Sace. He'd be up to 9 points, so he could remove an 18-point unit right away if you use this ability. So lots of fun things. I think we're going to have to wait to see. I'm not as excited about Pincer Maneuver as I am about Shield Wall, especially since there's a 1 provision cost difference between the two, and the upside for Shield Wall I think is infinitely better. Also think like Anna Stringer, really good here. All inspired units. I probably should have just run through that too, but Landsknecht, I guess, but Ildiko, get her some protection. Priscilla and Shawnee, protect them without needing to use Donimir. Black Rayla gonna come out, do some kind of nasty business. Odrin, you could get him boosted if you needed to, but I think the slow play is fine there. Bloody Baron, you can protect him so you can use his ability twice with Varaxis. So anyway, cool stuff. I do also want to say this is like a PSA. You know what you can also do? I didn't know this. I think players who played before I started playing this, but Mandrake resets a unit, and they should really specify this off to the side, but it resets the order too. So you can actually use Mandrake to reset a couple of orders, and we might think about including that in the deck for next season, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, then Mobilization changed the spawn a base copy of Bronze Allied Soldier on its row and boosted by 3. The chat lit up all about Cintrian Royal Guards here, just to get an extra proc of them. I think they'll be really cool. It is soldier, so you can't do it with Caravan Vanguards as they are not soldiers, but bronze soldiers for Northern Realms include Trident Infantry. Kedweni Knights aren't going to be really valuable there, but Kedweni Sergeants get those 2 charges. Temple Guards, Royal Guards, all of these come out. And again, here it is, spawn a base copy of an allied soldier on its row. So it's not play. So if it comes with the deploy, you're probably not going to use it, but Carrick Marine will work well here. Temerian Drummer will work well here. You could even do some crazy stuff with, who am I looking for here? With Blue Stripes Commandos or Blue Stripes Scouts, but I think especially Blue Stripes Commandos and Pavetta to cycle those all back into your deck. I'm excited. Okay, so moving on to Scotel. They should have fixed this in the hotfix. They destroyed Harmony while creating a bunch of new cards. Like, I think they should have just let it go for a week with Master Mirror before deciding to obliterate the usefulness of Harmony. But this is a welcome change that was long overdue, in my opinion. Excited to see it back, especially with Call of Harmony gone and changed to spawn and play Danamib, 6 power relic. She has Harmony and she is a relict, so she will proc harmonies for units other than her, that so long as you don't have a relic on the board, which I don't think you really have with Scotel right now. There are a lot more with monsters, but you are going to get that relic out onto the board, so you have another Harmony engine, but you also can proc those Harmony boosts on those other units. So I'm pretty excited. Nature's Gift comes with an innate symbiosis. I think this finally might make Ethne playable and more included into those decks. I'm excited to see that. Zoltan's Company has been changed to be way more interesting. Honestly, just look at the picture of this card in the developer stream. It's much better than I can do here. Let's see if
Hello everyone, I'm back with another.
Pull it up. We'll get to it later. Anyway, look that up. It's worth it. Basically, you're going to spawn those 3 Rowdy Dwarves, but if you control Zoltan, any Zoltan card, notably, which there are multiples of, I think Zoltan Warrior is the one that most people are going to be using here, but if you have this Zoltan out, he has Resilience, boosts adjacent Dwarves by 2, but Zoltan Warrior is going to spawn 2 Rowdy Dwarves or boost all 3 Rowdy Dwarves in this row, so you might actually do Zoltan, then Zoltan's Company, then Zoltan Warrior. But Scoundrel works with Duda. I think Duda, he would probably get played last, though, just so you can get that boost all units. We might see him included more, just as Agitator can be a good tech card. But we will see. But anyway, now Zoltan, if you control Zoltan, any Zoltan card, give 1 armor to all dwarves in that row. And I think this is going to pair well with our boy Moonrow, who transforms 2 of those Rowdy Dwarves into Dwarf Berserkers. You give them an extra armor, it gives them some survivability, but more importantly, gives them increased damage for 1 more turn. So then Vrayhead Brigade, damage enemy unit by 2, and then every time they move by 2. Dun Canal bumped up from 3 to 4. Mahakam Volunteers. This is all these other thinning cards changed from 3 to 4. And ability is no longer row restricted. It's just if you control a dwarf. That's about freaking time. They were the worst one to use in my opinion. And then Ethne changed from 11 to 12. They're talking about how like all of the leaders are being included in all of the decks. Their play rate is really high. Yeah, except Ethne, because she's just trash. But anyway, I digress. And then the whole reason for that is because like there aren't that many nature cards to proc Symbiosis with, and the ones you do have aren't as good as some of the neutrals that you want to use, and then that makes it so she doesn't have Symbiosis, and you don't want to carry her over to round 3, but I digress. Sentry chain given 1 armor. I think that's welcome change, although it does play directly into Stunning Blow, which is, again, still a little bit broken in my opinion, but go back and see prior week's videos on that. Dwarven Chariot changed from 3 to 4. Blathana Power from 1 to 2 is nice. Mystic Echo gone. We already covered this. I think Guerrilla Tactics bumped up from 15 to 16. Thinks this makes sense to put it on par with White Frost. You do get an extra charge there, but you're not proccing any other ability or anything there. You can use it on your own units too, which can be helpful. For Nilfgaard, Imperial Brigade changed from 3 to 4. You now have to control a soldier to summon all of them. That puts them on par, so you can't just play them round 1. You have to play something else first. Nausicaa Brigade changed by damage enemy unit by 1 if it was boosted to 3. And I think currently it's like just so you get guaranteed damage. Vincent changed from 5 to 3. Provision from 11 to 10. This is stupid. He was played for removal. This is a little bit like the Wild Boar change. Like, you just buffed a card everyone hates except for the people that use it. He still needs to be changed in my opinion. Honestly, like, I don't care about the provisions. I don't care about any of this. Needs to be changed to only delete characters with negative effects. That way you can't play him as a direct counter to defenders. It requires you to proc a poison, proc a lock, proc a bleed. You have plenty of them in Nilfgaard. It just makes you play an extra card first. They still need to change that. I think like if you're going to be hyper focused on this, you can't play 2 cards in a turn, then you need to focus on Vincent. The tempo of this play is just broken. But I digress. Usurper changed from 11 to 12, puts him on par with the other leaders. Fion Power from 2 to 1. Whatever. Doesn't make a huge difference there one way or the other. Then Hunting Pack Power changed from 3 to 4. Again, just on par with the other thinning cards. Helga, Fire Scorpion have siege engines. That doesn't really matter. It'll just be cool if they can create a PvE mode where you can mix factions and battle against the AI, or in Arena. I'd rather see PvE than Arena. Arena can be a little cumbersome and drawn out, and you don't get that great of rewards for the amount of work you have to put into it. Not like Ladder. Strategic Withdrawal gone. Now Imprisonment, locked enemy unit, damage it by 3, you get 2 charges. I think people are going to get more play out of Imposter than Imprisonment, but you go for it. Tactical Decision. Voorhees, this is cool. Biggest question I have out of this, do you get to choose the order? If you do, crazy broken stuff. If you don't, really annoying. I mean, otherwise this just plays into the tactic that allows you to look at the top 3 cards and play one, which is War Council, which would be fine, but not amazing. You also need to wait till you're down to 3 cards to play that, and he does come out as a soldier, which is nice for those damage procs with crossbowmen, and he can also receive like some of the boosts, including battle preparation, right? So and then Imperial Formation charges down from 4 to 3. I know a lot of people are complaining here, but the provision count gets boosted 15 to 16, so I think this is a fair move. It's more on par with the other ones. The ability to move a soldier to the top of your deck is crazy broken. Stop being hyper focused on often is my suggestion if you think this is bad. Instead, auto include Damien into your deck with Fion, and you will get 12 points of boost. and choose 2 soldiers to go to the top of the deck for carryover value into the future rounds. So you can guarantee both crossbowmen into your hand with Tarkanal, with some switcheroos there. Crazy value that you can line up. Finally, Syndicate. Avald is stupid now. Horson's Freak Show is good. That's basically all I'll tell you. Sacred Flame is now on deploy instead of an order. I don't really see how that changes much. It's a mediocre 9 provision cost card as is. This changes no more infinite Joanna loops, which was ridiculous. Although you can get it with some other cards. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Then Cleric of the Flaming Rose now has a Cleric tag. Fine. The wild card's gone, replaced with Pirate's Cove. Some people are excited. I think this is stupid. Like, would you rather have Sea Jackal, where you have to spend the coins and hope to make them back up later? Or would you rather have Mobilization with 3 selected boosts, and where you're proccing a card that is as good, if not better, point potential than Sea Jackal? You tell me. Anyway, that's what we've got. I know this is a rather long video, but there was a lot of changes. We'll be making a lot of decks. I think, there's some things that are annoying, some things that are awesome. That's just normal, but the change makes it fun for us to come up with new stuff. And that, for me, is the fun of Gwent, not the grind on ladder. And with that, I will see you folks all later. Get out there, keep on Gwenting, and I will chat with you later today with another video. But thank you for joining.